Pete from PEDRO'S Movie Cabin here. It's been a while since I've done a video. Work's been insane, so I haven't had the energy to actually post anything since the last video, which was a look at my premium collection. One of the reasons I haven't posted much is because I haven't bought anything. And when you haven't bought anything, it's pointless doing a video where you're showing your recent pickups. So that's why. So Christmas is coming, which means that I'll probably get some more stuff. I have got some stuff on order, just waiting for them to arrive, and obviously I'll do an end of the year pickups video. So look forward to that. However, this video is my best and worst of 2025. Now, I haven't seen every single movie that has released this year, so there's a few films that I'm going to have left off this list, which you may really enjoy and may want to recommend to me or something, but these are my... so I've broken it down into 4 sections. I've got best, not bad, meh, and then bad. And I think there's a good mixture of stuff here. I have them written down on my iPad, so I'm going to use that as a go-to. Put that down. No, don't want to cut that. No. So we're going to start with the meh. So the meh section is kind of like the honourable mentions, I guess you could say. These are films that they were okay. They weren't amazing. They passed the time, and there was some enjoyment there. So the first one is The Electric State, directed by the Russo brothers for Netflix, starring Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown. It's based on the Electric State book by I think he's Swedish artist who did like the Tales from the Loop for Amazon Prime. It's about a war between humans and robots are now housed behind a gigantic wall in the desert. It's not as bad as it was made out to be. The reviews are kind of unfair on it. Yes, it does have some issues. Chris Pratt's character adds absolutely zero to the film and doesn't really need to be in it. And I'm a Chris Pratt fan. I love watching Chris Pratt. But in The Electric State, he's just really not needed. And I think it was only... he was only put in that film to add a bit more star power, even though Millie Bobby Brown had she's able to carry a film. We know this from in the Enola Holmes movies, and what's the one that she played a princess in Netflix? Damsel, I think it was. Damsel. She was really good in Damsel as well. So Electric State, it's not as bad as it's made out to be. It's an enjoyable enough movie. Like I said, it's got Chris Pratt, it's got Millie Bobby Brown in it. It has Stanley Tucci playing a role that he has played probably more times than any other role. It's a sleepwalk for him, unfortunately. And you can see where the money went, because it clearly didn't go on script, but the money went to the CGI, because the CGI is phenomenal in this film. But for $370 million, I think it was, it's too much for a streaming movie, and it's not a shock that it flopped. But I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It passed the time. It was like just over 2 hours, I think it was. And yeah, it just wasn't as bad as it was made out to be. Another film that I thought was kind of just okay, it was a little bit dull and not much really happened in it, was Fantastic Four First Steps. Again, Marvel just, they haven't hit a decent level since Endgame, and most of the films that they are now releasing unfortunately kind of suck. I did watch half of Thunderbolts. I never got around to finishing it, so that's why I've left it off here, but it would probably be in the not bad category because I was quite enjoying it when I watched it. My problem with Fantastic Four is that everyone except Vanessa Kirby is miscast in that film as the Fantastic Four. Pedro Pascal should not have played Reed Richards. He is not a good fit for that character. If they wanted to have an actor play Reed Richards, they should have gone with John Krasinski like they did in the Multiverse of Madness. They should have had him play Reed Richards. Vanessa Kirby was great in it. The guy from Stranger Things who played Eddie Munson plays the Human Torch in this. Again, he was miscast in it. Just not very good in it. Joseph Quinn, there we go. He just wasn't very good in it. Like, at least Chris Evans brought something to that character, and it was fun to see him revisit that character, but a slightly more motor-mouth version in Deadpool versus Wolverine. Julie Garner completely wasted as the Silver Surfer. She is an incredible actress, but just a thankless role, covered in CGI silver. Just what was the point of like having her in the movie when she is far and away probably one of the best actresses working at the moment? I mean, Weapons will tell you. I haven't seen Weapons, but from what I hear, she's great in that. And her multi-Emmy awards for the Ozark. So yeah, I just wasn't overly fussed on the Fantastic Four. It's not an awful film. It's not a terrible movie. It's just a meh movie. Like, nothing really happens in it. There's a space baby, a space rocket, Galactus, the Silver Surfer, but nothing. It's just quite boring. Then we have A Working Man with Jason Statham. This was directed by David Ayer, who previously directed Statham in The Beekeeper, which is The Beekeeper compared to A Working Man is like a masterpiece. Like A Working Man, it's not a terrible movie. Again, these are in the meh category. A Working Man works when the action is happening. The rest of the movie just doesn't really do anything. It's quite dull. It's Statham doing Statham things, but it doesn't have the same fun factor as The Beekeeper did. The action sequences are really, really good. The shootout in the bar is really, really well handled. But you've got character actors in this film that are they just don't do anything. Michael Pena is in it as the father of the girl who gets kidnapped. And he doesn't do anything. It's Michael Pena. He's amazing in everything. Another David Harbour was in it, playing a blind former Navy SEAL. And again, he does nothing in it. He just sits there drinking beer, wearing his baseball cap that has the American flag on it, which almost every single former Delta operator or Navy SEAL guy seems to wear in these YouTube videos. But yeah, I mean, A Working Man could have been sort of like a grindhousey action movie, but it just comes off as being quite meh, to be honest. Good action. Statham carries it as you would expect, but the rest of the film itself is just boring. The biggest disappointment for me of the year, and a film that kind of I feel bad having watched every previous film in this franchise this year in preparation for this movie, was Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, a nearly 3-hour movie with 2 incredible action sequences that go on for so long that the action sequences themselves become boring. in between scenes of very boring exposition. Like, I loved all the movies up until Final Reckoning. And it did nothing. It did absolutely nothing. It's meant to be the final reckoning, so it's the end of the whole series. Everything is tied together, from the first film to the rabbit's foot in Mission Impossible 3 and whatever happened in Mission Impossible 2, all the way through Fallout and Rogue Nation to this point. And by the end of the film, I just didn't give a shit anymore. And it's really, really bad. Like I said, the action sequences, there are 2 extended action sequences in this film that are very well done. But again, they are boring because they go on for so long. Action sequences, this is the problem I had with the last John Wick movie. It's like, action sequences should be looked at as a joke. Like a joke, sorry, not as a joke. Where something that happens at the start is exciting, but then it gets boring to the point where it goes on for so long that it becomes exciting again. Like a joke it starts off funny, then it just gets like, well, what's going on? And so because it's gone on for so long, it then becomes funny again. That's where I think the John Wick movies and where Mission Impossible Final Reckoning suffer, is that the action sequences go on for so long that they just stay at a constant bore, if you know what I mean. The biplane sequence is incredible. The underwater sequence is incredible. But everything in between those scenes just doesn't do it. It's just dull. So that was one of the biggest issues I had. And it was the biggest letdown of the year for me. Now, I was unsure whether or not to put this in not bad or meh. And I've decided to put it in meh because I enjoyed it. It made me laugh. It made me laugh for the majority of the film. But the end of the last 20 minutes, it just falls off and goes for the stupidest, like, sequence of events that just doesn't really gel in this kind of comedy. And it's the Naked Gun. Now, like I said, I really enjoyed Naked Gun for the most part. I thought Liam Neeson's deadpan was on point. Just really, really good deadpan. Pamela Anderson was the MVP of this film. She was great in it. Paul Walter Hauser was pretty good in it as well. Danny Huston, who is used to playing scummy villains, is just hamming it up in this. And there's a bit where they have a fight at the end where Drebin punches Danny Huston's villain character, and the fight's pretty much over because he's like, that really hurt. Why would you hit me? That was amusing. But there's a bit where Drebin holds on to a falcon or a hawk or something and drops into a fight that was so far removed from the stupidity of the sight gags earlier in the film that it just kind of dropped off for me, and I just didn't find that very funny at all. And when you look back on the jokes in the movie, while they are somewhat quite funny, and the repetitiveness, like the action sequences, does actually kind of work, especially with the coffee cups and how they keep getting bigger and bigger. You do find that it is trying its hardest to be exactly like the Zaz movies, but not actually hitting that point. So that's why Naked Gun is on the meh section, because it is disappointing. It could have been a lot funnier if it wasn't for that silly bit with the hawk or the eagle at the end. I probably would have just put it in not bad. And then we have I look forward to this movie, the final meh movie. I really did look forward to this because I am a huge fan of this franchise, and I loved the TV show that was spawned from it, and it is Karate Kid Legends. What an absolute waste of time this movie was. It was meant to bridge the gap between the Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith film with the world of Daniel LaRusso from the original 3 movies and Cobra Kai. Now, don't get me wrong, Cobra Kai is incredibly cheesy. It is a show that essentially the plot of Cobra Kai is that a old man has a grudge, a 30-year grudge against a teenager who beat his other teenage student in a karate tournament for teenagers in 1984. It's so fucking stupid. It is ridiculous. However, what the show did that the movies don't, the original movies did, is they leaned into the absurdity of that, which is what made it very fun. 6 seasons, I think it was. I loved Cobra Kai. I thought it was great. It was a nice throwback to the movies. Daniel and why did I say that? Daniel and Johnny sort of kind of becoming friends throughout the show to then becoming like dojo co-dojo owners is great. Really good character development on their part, considering that Johnny was only really in the first movie and the opening of the second movie. But then you have a lot of reoccurring characters that, not reoccurring, but characters from the other movies that then appear in Cobra Kai, the TV show. Now, with Karate Kid Legends should have done something akin to that TV show, but they didn't. What they did was they took the plot of the Jaden Smith movie, took it out of Hong Kong, plopped it in America, and did the same thing. Even the fight at the end was pretty much exactly the same. Daniel LaRusso shows up for about 20 minutes of the entire movie, so it's not really bridging a gap between anything. My favourite part of that film was the cameo from Johnny right at the end. But Jackie is great in everything. He was great as Mr. Han, and LaRusso, Ralph Macchio was okay as Daniel LaRusso. He wasn't really doing a huge amount of stuff in this film. So yeah, I mean, it really kind of let me down that this film could have continued the legacy of the original movies and Cobra Kai, while also staying true to the reboot with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. But instead it went and just sort of did the exact same thing as the reboot did. And for that, it just, like, I watched the whole thing. It wasn't awful. It was just meh. It just didn't do it for me, unfortunately. So that is my meh section done. Moving on, we've got the not bad section. Now, these are films that I can't put in the best, and films that were slightly better than meh, or films that I enjoyed more than the ones in the meh category. So not bad. So first is Happy Gilmore 2. Happy Gilmore 2 was going to be in the best, but it's Happy Gilmore 2. It is a very silly film with Adam Sandler. And I, being a big fan of 90s Adam Sandler, loved this film. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was very silly. It was a nice sort of throwback to that kind of weird, silly humour of the 90s. And it was just an enjoyable 90-minute movie, and it took me back to watching Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison and Big Daddy back then, and The Waterboy. Just a lot of great fun. But it suffers because, and it's really sad to say this, the villain in it, played by Benny Safdie, is it Benny Safdie? I think it's Benny Safdie. It's one of the Safdie brothers. Is really, really obnoxious. And I really did not like the character. And I thought it was too much of a sort of pastiche of characters from other movies, specifically Ben Stiller's character from Dodgeball. But the MVP of that movie is Christopher McDonald as Shooter McGavin. The guy is in his 70s now. He fucking owned that movie. Best thing in the entire movie was Chris McDonald as Shooter McGavin. Phenomenal. So yeah, that's Happy Gilmore 2. I loved it. Didn't want to put it in best, but it's not bad. Heads of State with John Cena and Idris Elba is a fun movie. Again, like I said, like Happy Gilmore, it's a fun movie. I enjoyed every second of it. The action was well handled and staged. The comedy landed. The banter back and forth between John Cena and Idris Elba that's carried over from James Gunn's Suicide Squad is there, and it's zingy and zippy, and it works really, really well. The two have great chemistry together, which is what makes the film so fun. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun, enjoyable action movie. It didn't go on too long. It was like 90 minutes long. Priyanka Chopra was pretty good in it as well. I thought she handled her scenes really, really well, and I hadn't really seen her in anything apart from Baywatch. So I didn't have a big sort of expectation of her acting abilities and her character in this film. So it was a nice surprise to see that she was able to hold her own against both Cena and Idris Elba. And we all know that Cena is, for some reason, becoming a master of deadpan sort of idiot, just with like dialogue, if you know what I mean. He has really, really great comic like dialogue delivery. So yeah, that was Heads of State. Novocaine, again, another really fun sort of action movie. It's a bit like Crank, but he can't feel pain. It's like if you watch The World Is Not Enough, the character that Robert Carlyle plays, where he has a bullet lodged in his brain and he can't feel pain, which is why he's able to just fight and just continue fighting on and on and on because he doesn't feel it. They take that sort of idea in Novocaine and they use that to make Jack Quaid's character sympathetic, but also like a bit of an action oddity, because he's an action hero who is not really an action hero but becomes an action hero through his ability to not feel pain. And it must be very, very difficult to act out a fight scene where you're getting hit and not react in a way where you feel like you're getting hit. Like there's a fight in a kitchen where he gets the fucking shit kicked out of him by this former military guy, and he has to pretend that it looks like he's getting hurt. Like there's one point there's a gun in a deep fat fryer and he puts his hand in and he's just like, oh no, it's really painful, and just pulls out, but it doesn't hurt because he can't feel the pain. But it's a lot of fun. The ending was pretty good as well. The twist was quite obvious in the movie, but it was fun. I enjoyed it, and Rosa Salazar was really good in it too. Yeah, just an enjoyable, silly movie. And the final one that was not bad was Ballerina. Now, Ballerina could have been better. It could have been a lot better. However, for a film set within the John Wick movie, or the John Wick universe, it kind of carries itself quite well. There are some astonishing action sequences in this movie, especially the flamethrower scene. How the fuck they filmed that is beyond me. And we do get a cameo from John Wick himself. I say a cameo, there is a very small role where he's in it for about 5-10 minutes. But the biggest issue with Ballerina is that it's trying to be a John Wick movie while not being a John Wick movie at the same time, and it struggles to balance both that world and this world that they're trying to create. The biggest problem, though, and this is the same problem that I had with, like I said earlier, with John Wick 4, was that the action sequences just, they go on and on and on. Like, there wasn't enough story for a film. So they had to pad the runtime out by making these extended action sequences. Now, I love action movie cinema. It's my second favourite genre after science fiction. And I've watched some of the shittest, low-rent, low-budget action movies to some of the biggest, high-budgeted, like, greatest action films of all time. And I have no problem watching these. But these are movies where the action sequences are quick and like they keep it going. They keep the flow of the movie going. Ballerina just seems like they were trying to make the runtime stretch to 2 hours when they could have just edited it down a little bit more and made it less laborious. If you know what I mean. Anna de Armas was fantastic in the central role. Then you've got Gabriel Byrne was in it, and Angelica Houston was reprising her role from John Wick Chapter 3, who was the head of the head of the cult, I guess, or the whatever it was that John Wick was brought up in the dance school type of place where they teach people how to become assassins. Like I said, it was good. You can clearly see that there were moments in that film which were directed by Len Wiseman, and then scenes that were completely done by a different director, mainly the action sequences. So Chad Stahelski was brought on to correct some of the filming or to reshoot some things because what Len Wiseman had done had not sort of worked properly. So you can see the very big difference between an action movie director like Len Wiseman, who like directing, and then an action movie director stroke action choreographer and action designer directing. And there's a weird sort of disconnect in the film. But again, like I said, it's an enjoyable movie. It's not a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. It's not a meh movie. It is an enjoyable. It's a not bad movie, which is why it's on my not bad list. So then we move from not bad to the worst movies of the year. I'm going to do my best movies of the year last. So the worst movies of the year. 2 of these are sequels. 2 of them are also... Actually, 3 of them are sequels. Hang on. It seems to have deleted one. Three of them are sequels. One of them is an adaptation of a book, but can also sort of be looked at as a sequel. So I'm going to start with the first one, which was the biggest letdown from a director since the last film, because I actually quite did like the last film he did. So Play Dirty was co-written and directed by Shane Black, which is an adaptation of Play Dirty, the novel by Donald E. Westlake, who was writing these novels, Parker novels, which had previously been shot as Point Blank. Point Blank. There was one. I can always forget the name of this one, the second one. I think it had Jim Brown in it. So it was Point Blank, the one with Jim Brown, then The Outfit with Robert Duvall, Slayground with Peter Coyote, Payback with Mel Gibson, Parker with Jason Statham, and now Play Dirty with Mark Wahlberg playing the role as Parker. Now, I was really looking forward to seeing how Shane Black would take on Parker, because he's known for his sort of pulp sort of crime movie type of stuff, like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys and stuff. And for the most part, the dialogue really, really works. However, the film is dull. It's incredibly artificial. There doesn't seem to be anything that was shot on an actual location. Everything seems to have been filmed on a green screen, which puts me. Oh, I missed a film off my my meh section, which I'll go back to later as an honourable mention. Everything seems to have been shot on a green screen. There is like nothing that seems real in this movie. Mark Wahlberg is horrendously miscast as Parker. In this film, Parker is a motor mouth fucking prick, and I can't stand the character. This version of Parker that was brought to the screen by Mark Wahlberg, and like he is a motor mouth motherfucker. Parker is a brooding, brutal criminal, a thief. He wonderfully sort of played by Lee Marvin in Point Blank. Duvall did him fantastic in The Outfit. Can't really remember much about Slayground. But even Mel Gibson's version in Payback he was quippy when he needed to be quippy. And then Jason Statham's character is probably the closest, I think, to the Lee Marvin version, where he's kind of silent and stoic and just brutal. He is a master thief. Yet, fucking play dirty. Mark Wahlberg is playing this movie like it's the fucking good guys, or like Ted or something like that, or The Big Hit. Like, no, that is not Parker. Parker is not this loudmouth asshole. And yeah, I really, really disliked it. It really fucking pissed me off that this movie was made this way when they could have done it so much better. Like, I think a perfect Parker for modern Parker movies would be Colin Farrell. If you watch that TV show that he did on Apple, where he played a private detective that was sort of something else as well. His look, the way he was dressed, white shirt, black suit, black tie, the whole like Reservoir Doggy type of thing, but he had that sort of like that look that would work so well as a like a pulp criminal character. But in Play Dirty, it's just fucking rubbish. It is shit. It pissed me off, and that's why it's on my bad list. I'm going to follow that up with a second Mark Wahlberg film, which is the second worst film I've seen this year, and it is The Family Plan 2. I quite enjoyed the first Family Plan. It was something a little bit different at the time. Did not need a sequel. The Family Plan 2 is fucking terrible. It is absolute crap. It was a movie. The action sequences are badly handled. They are over-edited. They are mis-edited. They are edited in a way that the continuity of the fight sequences does not work, because it flips back and forth. It's awful. The villain of the movie is nonsensical. Played by Kit Harington, who I quite enjoyed. Loved him in Game of Thrones. Would like to see him do more roles like this, where he plays a sort of villain, because he's actually quite good as the villain in The Family Plan 2. However, the rest of the movie, and this is really bad to say, even Michelle Monaghan is just not good in this film, and I really like Michelle Monaghan. She's great in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and even when she shows up in the Mission Impossible movies, like, she's good in those as well. And she made a really good film with Nathan Fillion where she played a truck driver years and years and years ago. Maybe it was called Truck Driver, I can't remember. But The Family Plan 2, there is a scene in Family Plan 2 where she has a gun sellotaped to her hand. And well, not sellotape, duct tape to her hand in London, and she steals someone's bag to put the taped hand and gun into, so she doesn't get stopped by anyone who sees her running down the street with a gun duct taped to her hand. And it's like, I'm looking at it, I think she's got one free hand and one like taped hand with the gun. Why is she hiding it? And then like 5 minutes later, she just unwraps the gun from her hand and puts it in a bin. And another thing I've noticed with a lot of these type of shitty sequels is they always do it as a Christmas movie. And it's always Christmas in London. They're going to London because it's Christmas in London, and it's called The Vacation, and they're going to do action stuff on vacation for Christmas. It was just shit. It was absolute garbage. What a waste of fucking time, a waste of fucking money. And it would cost $50 million to make that movie. Absolute. It angered me at how bad and how much of a waste of time that film was. So there we go. Family Plan 2. Fucking terrible. Do not watch it. It's shit. The Old Guard 2, starring Charlize Theron. Loved the first Old Guard. I thought the first Old Guard was a really, really solid action movie that had a really great premise of that kind of felt a bit like Highlander. Just really enjoyed it. Sat there for the 2 hours that I watched it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Was like, ooh, I wonder if they'll ever make a sequel that's based on a graphic novel or based on a comic book. So there is source material there. And then The Old Guard 2 comes out, and it's the worst film I've seen this year. It's fucking rubbish. Absolute trash. Charlize Theron, what were you thinking? It was a absolute garbage excuse for a movie. Just rubbish. I wasted an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours watching that crap. And I was excited because Uma Thurman was in it. She hasn't really done a movie of that size for a while, and I wanted to see Uma Thurman back. She's in it for about 20 minutes. That's about it. It's a rip-off of Highlander, like straight up rip-off of Highlander. Even the fight at the end is a rip-off of the fight at the end of Highlander. Just a fucking trash movie. And I can't believe that I sat there and watched the entire movie. And at the end, I wanted to punch my television. It was that bad. My review on Letterboxd was very, very scathing. And yeah, I hated it. And that is probably the worst film that I've seen this year. And Family Plan 2 was bad. But The Old Guard 2... what an absolute steaming pile of shit. I do have one last bad film, but I'm not sure whether I want to include it because I didn't watch all of it because it was that bad. I stopped. Maybe I should have a repeat viewing and watch the entirety of it, but that's 28 Years Later. Now, I'm not a fan of 28 Days Later. I can tolerate 28 weeks. I was not really looking forward to 28 years. I didn't really give a shit about the first film. I didn't really give a shit about the franchise, to be honest. But I watched the first hour, and there were bits in that movie that I just hated. So I'm not really going to say it's the worst film. It's one of the worst films of the year because I never finished it. But if I do ever get around to finishing it, it probably will be one of the worst films of the year. So that's the bad, Play Dirty, The Family Plan 2, and The Old Guard. So, the best movies of the year. And I know this is going to be a long video. I haven't posted a very long video in a while. So, for me personally, these are the best films that I've seen this year. Like I said at the start, I haven't watched every single movie, so I can't really judge everything. So I can only judge the films that I have seen that I've really enjoyed. So, the first film is The Accountant 2 with Ben Affleck and John Bernthal. Really enjoyed the first Accountant. I thought it was a fun, enjoyable thriller that was kind of like a late 90s thriller, early 2000s thriller with a sort of interesting like character in the shape of Ben Affleck's character, who has some form of autism, which I thought was really well handled for the film. And obviously John Bernthal shows up in that as well as a rival assassin, but it turns out that spoiler alert, it turns out that they're brothers. The second one, the tone of the second film is very different to the tone of the first film. The tone of the first film it's quite a serious movie. The second film is a comedy, is an action comedy, and it's so enjoyable. It's the camaraderie and the banter between both Ben Affleck and John Bernthal is top notch. Absolute. Those two have great chemistry together on screen. The action sequences are very well handled. The shootout at the end, very good, very fun, very exciting. Just kept me entertained for the 2 hours that it was on screen, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and that's why I put it in my best films of the year, because it was so enjoyable, and I was thinking about it afterwards for about a week. Just really enjoyed it. Then The Gorge, a film made by Apple TV, or maybe made by Apple TV. I watched it on Apple TV. It's a Gorge. It stars Anya Taylor-Joy and Miles Teller. It is a creature action feature stroke horror movie that has elements of Stranger Things in it. You could say Stranger Things in it. H.P. Lovecraft, and just it was a lot of fun. It was very well made by, I think it's Scott Derrickson directed it. The guy who did Scott Derrickson, who did the first Doctor Strange movie. It's him. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched it the morning it was on Apple TV. Great movie. Just like The Accountant 2, it kept my attention for the entirety of the movie, and I loved the chemistry between the two. I thought Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy had great chemistry. Anya Taylor-Joy's Russian accent was a bit off, but it was funny. But I kind of liked that. I thought it was quite fun. I thought the creature designs were fucking amazing. The idea of two opposing towers over this gorge that were responsible for keeping whatever was in the gorge by any means necessary was. I thought that was a really good premise, and obviously you got Sigourney Weaver shows up as well, and Sigourney Weaver is always great in everything. So yeah, The Gorge I thought was really fun, really exciting. I thought the action sequences were really well handled. I thought the creature designs were really good. I thought the twist was really good, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And I thought the ending was a little bit silly, but it's a movie about creatures in a gorge in the middle of Eastern Europe, so what can you do? It's like the gateway to hell. Yeah, really, really enjoyed it. Then we have Nobody 2 with my brain is switched off now. What's his name? Saul Goodman, actor. Yeah, him. The one who was in the first one. Bob Odenkirk. There we go. My arm just clicked. Loved the first Nobody. This is how you do a sequel where someone goes on vacation. You do it properly. Not like the Family Plan. Luckily, this one isn't set at Christmas. But Nobody 2 kind of ups the comedy from the first film, but also ups the action as well, and delves a little bit more into that character and how he's now sort of kind of working back at that job as what was it, like adjudicator or something like that. I can't remember what he was called in the first film, but there's some really, really, really funny action sequences and some really good moments of comedy, and there's a role in it for Colin Hanks, and I did not notice I didn't recognize Colin Hanks at first, because he's a lot older than I thought he was. And he's like a lot more skinnier, a lot more gaunt in the face. And it kind of threw me off. I was like, shit, that's Colin Hanks. But he's really good in that. Odenkirk is obviously, he's Odenkirk. He's fantastic. Again, I love the first one. I love this one. This is how you do a vacation sequel. And it works on so many levels. It's not as good as the first one. I think the first one is a better film. However, this one is still a very, very, very enjoyable movie. And I just enjoyed the shit out of it. I thought it was great. Also, you get Christopher Lloyd and the RZA back in it as well. Then we have Heart Eyes. Heart Eyes is a slasher movie that really blew me away. I haven't enjoyed a slasher comedy movie for a long time, and I think horror works better now, especially with a film like a slasher movie. I think horror works better as a comedy than as a straight horror movie. I mean, we had the straight slasher movies in the 1980s, and I think Scream kind of set the bar for the kind of meta stroke comedy horror movies that we kind of get now. And Heart Eyes works incredibly well. Heart Eyes is like, imagine watching a Hallmark movie, a Hallmark romance movie, where two people work at like really fancy building, like a magazine or an ad agency. And they kind of fall in love. They're good looking and blah, blah, blah. And it's the usual thing. But there's also a masked killer going around killing couples at the same time. It's like two completely different movies. It's like a Hallmark romance movie plus My Bloody Valentine. It's fucking great. And the film works because the two main characters are incredibly likable. They are very, very likable. Like you root for them, and that doesn't tend to happen that often in horror movies, slasher movies. You don't really tend to root for the characters because they're usually written like assholes. But the characters in Heart Eyes are they're really nice characters. You want them both to survive and get together. But you also get some really good like support work in this as well. Who is it? It is Jordana Brewster, I haven't really seen her do anything since the last Fast and the Furious movie. She's really, really good in this as a detective whose partner is... Oh, shit, I've forgotten who her partner is now. It's another person that you would recognise from horror movies and like genre movies and stuff. But yeah, Heart Eyes works because of the mix of two genres, of one being the Hallmark romance and then one being the grindhouse gore-fest slasher movies of the 1980s, and it blends seamlessly together, and it's fantastic. The opening as well is just ridiculously over the top. There is a standout sequence in the movie where there is a massacre at a drive-in theatre, and it's so good. So Heart Eyes was one that really surprised me, blew me away, and that's why it's on my best lists of the year. So we're down to 3 now. Now, K-pop Demon Hunters, again, was quite a surprise for me. I wasn't expecting much from it. From the original, from the trailers. I watched K-pop Demon Hunters with my brother, and we both enjoyed the fuck out of that movie. That movie is probably one of the best animated films that has been released in a long time, and it's a shame that it wasn't released in cinemas, because that movie would have made triple what it made through streaming. Sony completely dropped the ball on that one by selling it to Netflix. If Sony had kept it and put it in theatres, they would be laughing to the bank. Now Netflix is laughing to the bank, but luckily there is going to be a sequel. It's just a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. It doesn't overstay its welcome. The animation is on point and fucking gorgeous. The music is phenomenal for a pop, like for a film called K-pop Demon Hunters. The soundtrack, the musical soundtrack, is just phenomenal. Like, we've all heard Golden. Everyone's heard that. It's been on the radio. It hit the Billboard 100. I think it got to the top. I think it got to number 1 in the UK. I can't remember. But it's a catchy tune. It gets stuck in your ear. It's a proper earworm. But it's just a fun movie. And the main characters are really, really likable as well. You can always have like characters that are just dicks and just a pain in the ass and just you can't really gel with. But every single character in K-pop Demon Hunters, every single one of the main 3 characters, even the characters from the rival boy band, are just are likable. It's a fun ride, and one I'm glad that I watched, because I've seen it a couple of times now, and I've really enjoyed it every single time. I've just realised where my moustache is. I don't know if you can see these dark bits here. When I sit back, it looks like I've got a Hitler moustache. I don't have a Hitler moustache. It's all the way around. So yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters I thoroughly enjoyed. Thought it was just a great fun time. One of the most one of the best times I've had watching a film this year. This and laughing consistently at Happy Gilmore 2. But yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters I think is a phenomenal movie, and I can't wait to see the sequel. Which brings us to the last 2, and this is going to be a long-ass video. So the last 2. Now, I'm having a drink because I've talked for an hour straight. So then these last 2 movies are movies that I couldn't choose which is the best film out of the 2, because I enjoyed them and equally, and I think they both kind of complement each other very, very well. So I'm going to go with the first one. The first one is the movie Sinners by... Shit, I have completely switched off. What's his name? I've forgotten the director's name now. Directed Fruitvale Station and Black Panther. And I've completely switched off my brain. Well, this movie, Sinners, is kind of like From Dusk Till Dawn. Now, when I say that, I don't mean it has that switcheroo kind of thing halfway through. What I mean is that it has an opening, and then there is something happens, and it does the sort of same thing that From Dusk Till Dawn does. However, we know that the vampires in Sinners are vampires prior to the arrival at the bar, because of something that happens in the opening, which establishes that there are these creatures. Unlike From Dusk Till Dawn, where you're watching it and it's a crime movie all the way up until they get to the titty twister, and then it becomes a vampire movie. Sinners works on so many levels because it is a movie about music and about the South and about black culture and stuff. And I'm clearly a white man, but I appreciate like blues and hip hop and bluegrass and like the origins of rock and roll and stuff like that from a cultural, what's the word for it? A cultural viewpoint. Like, I grew up watching like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and listening to hip hop and like LL Cool J and Naughty by Nature and NWA and Wu-Tang Clan. Like, those are the hip hop groups that I grew up listening to. But I also have an affinity for old classic rock and roll, like from the early days, like Fats Domino and Chuck Berry and even Elvis to a degree. There's a movie that I really enjoy called Cadillac Records, which looks at the Motown and soul and stuff, but this goes even further back to the 1930s, and it's about 2 brothers who arrive back in their old hometown and to open a bar specifically for the black people in the towns, somewhere they can call their own and not have to deal with the racism of the white people of the town and the white police officers and stuff. And it works very, very well for that first 45 minutes to an hour. Michael B. Jordan is incredible. I mean, if he continues on this path of performances, he's going to be the next Denzel. Honestly, he was phenomenal in this movie, playing two roles, playing I was going to say Lincoln Stack, but it's not. One's called Stack and the other one's called, I can't remember what the other one's called, but there's two brothers. And you also have like the people around them. So Delroy Lindo, and there's a younger guitarist who does this song which kind of goes through the entire history of black music in this musical number. And then from you've got like the introduction of a white female character amongst these black characters played by Haley Steinfeld, who kind of grew up with Smoke and Stack. There we go. Who grew up with Smoke and Stack and had a relationship with one of them. Haley Steinfeld is incredible in this movie. Michael B. Jordan's incredible in this movie. But then you get to the star. I say the star. You get to the standout for me in this movie is Jack O'Connell as the vampire, the lead vampire in this film. And Jack O'Connell, for me, I've watched him since Skins, and he's always blown me away in every single thing that he does. He is great as Paddy Mayne in Rogue Heroes, which is a show about the SAS and the formation of the SAS in World War II. In the second season, he kind of carries the entire series by himself, whereas in the first series, he is second fiddle to a sort of officer who puts together the SAS, and then he is like the second one. But in the second series, he is basically the main guy in charge of the SAS. But then also Unbroken, where he played Louis Zamperino. Phenomenal, like World War II movie, prison movie, directed by Angelina Jolie. But in this, he is great, playing a vampire with an Irish accent, and he learned to play the guitar for certain scenes, play a specific song. But Sinners it's just so good. In fact, I may watch it tonight again. And it blew me away when I watched it on for the first time, and for a long time, well, since I watched it, it has literally been the top of my favourite films of the year. So that's Sinners. The other film, which I would say is probably joint best film of the year, is The Long Walk, based on Stephen King's story stroke novel, about a group of teenagers, well, yeah, I'd say teenagers, late teens, who take part in a annual contest called the Long Walk, where the winner gets basically whatever they want. They could have financial freedom, or they could like have a house, they could have a car, they could, you name it, you can have whatever you want. And it follows this group of late teens, who join the Long Walk, which is run by a sort of fascist military regime in a sort of alternative dystopian America of the 1950s. And the Long Walk is led by Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's character, the general or the major or whatever, I can't remember what he is now. But it's essentially a 100-minute movie about walking, and it's just people talking and walking and talking, but it's the interactions and the the chemistry between each of the people, each of the teens, each of the guys, but also the rules that are set by this long walk, whereas you have to keep the exact same pace. I think it's 3 miles an hour. If you drop between that, you get a warning, so you have to pick back up your pace. If you stop for any length of time, you get another warning. If you continue to disobey the warning, you get killed. So you have to keep this specific pace, and that adds to the tension of the movie, because you don't know who's going to drop behind. I mean, you think these characters that you've met, that we've seen interact with each other, are gonna make it, because like you hope, but it's one of those sort of movies where nobody is safe, and it was it's incredible. I know Jim from Jim's Movie Channel is absolutely besotted with this movie. He read the book when he was younger, and he's seen it like 4 or 5 times now, I think he said, and he loves it. It's his top film of the year. For me, it's this and Sinners. I can't separate as my favourite films of the year. So I'm going to go with The Long Walk, directed by Francis Lawrence, written based on a novel written by Stephen King, with fantastic performances from everyone involved, from Mark Hamill to Cooper Hoffman, David Johnson, who is incredible in this movie, Ben Wang, who is in another film that I talked about earlier, which was Karate Kid Legends. In this, completely different. Like, he acts his ass off in this. It's great. It's really, really good. I highly recommend checking out The Long Walk when you get a chance to, because phenomenal movie. So that's been an hour of me talking about movies, my favourite movies of the year, the worst movies of the year, and the movies that are in between best and worst. Sorry it's gone on for so long. My voice has gone really, really hoarse. I'm trying to keep my volume down because I'm in a flat. I don't want to talk too loud. And sorry I haven't made any videos, but life kind of finds a way, in the words of Jeff Goldblum. Anyway, so that is my top best and worst movies of 2025. Like I said, I haven't seen every single movie, so these are the ones that I have seen that I can give my sort of opinion on. As usual, my name is Pedro. This is Pedro's Movie Cavern. Actually, there's Pedro's Movie Corner. I'm so glad you all watched. I will be back soon with hopefully a Christmas pickup or Christmas gift pickup thingamajig, and some stuff that I have ordered. Like, I've only bought like 3 things in the last month, so that's why I'm not doing any pickup videos. I will be hopefully doing a Christmas live stream as well. Fingers crossed. So thank you everyone for watching. My name is Pedro, and I will see you all again soon. So as usual, I'm going to give you a salute. I'm going to throw up the peace sign. I'm going to tell you that I am out. Cheers everyone. Have a good one.